What language is this?" "Best friend said she liked your little eyes and lean face and walk and the way you spoke your English. Her name was Selam. You said you liked her dimples and long legs and handwriting. You both liked to eat Smiling Cow toffees. She was the last child in her family. You were an only child. The world was only big enough for the two of you, and your secret language was an endless giggle, which made the other kids jealous. Selam lived in a flat and a red two-story building in Bahamiya. You lived in a brown two-story building across the street. Some days after school, you and Selam stood together on the balcony of one of the buildings and watched Selam's two brothers and their friends on the hilly streets with their homemade kites, running and screaming until their heels kicked up puffs of Ethiopian dust. The boys ran into traders hawking CDs they carried in wide metal trays on their heads, or into horse-drawn buggies and donkeys burdened by goods, slowing down traffic. They avoided the next street, which had a mosque, because the imam would curse them if the kites entangled the minaret. He had already made it known to their parents that flying kites was foreign, blaming them for exposing their children to strange ways. But Best Friend's parents told your parents that they had told the imam that he should not try to tell them how to raise their children in a free Ethiopia. So many afternoons you watched the kites rising against the distant coffee fields, then the beautiful hills, and then cupped your hands over your eyes as the kites climbed into the wide, low, blue skies. Some days there was no need to go to one or the other's house to be together. No, you and Best Friends stood on your own balconies and screamed your kindergarten rhymes to each other across the street, over the brown birds sitting on the electric and phone wires. The wires were cluttered with dead kites, trapped like butterflies in giant cobwebs. Your mommy didn't mind your loud recitations because she said you were only children. Your daddy was okay with it, but didn't want you to shout when he was taking his siesta, after which he would sometimes drive you around in his white car. Salam's parents weren't very okay with the shouts, but what could they do? On some Saturdays, your mommy, or Imaye Salam, would walk both of you 2 streets down, behind the church, for your hair to be braided. Like twins, you always chose the same style. Some days you went to her place and watched the Disney Channel, and some days she came over to your place and you played snakes and ladders and ate Doro Wote and spaghetti. One Sunday, after church, which Salam attended with your family because her parents traveled, Daddy drove you to Hotela Federalawi to eat. You read out all the billboards on the long, beautiful Haile Selassie Errata. Salam the ones on the right, you the ones on the left. In Hotela Federalawi, Daddy picked a table outside, under a big canopy, and you sat down. You read to each other from the menu while he looked on proudly. You both ordered pizza, while Daddy got a big dish of maberawi. "Is hamburger pork?" Salam asked, and tossed a piece of mushroom into her mouth. "Hey, who said so?" Daddy said. "Hadiya," she said. "I told you not to talk to Hadiya," you said, dropping your fork. "She's not our friend." "I didn't talk to her." "I won't talk to you again." "I'm sorry." You stood up and moved your chair away from hers. "Oh, no, said Daddy, pushing your chair back toward Best Friends. "Come on, ladies. Best friends don't quarrel, is she?" "Yes, Daddy," you said, "but she spoke to Hadiya. She promised me never to speak to Hadiya, Daddy." "I did not speak to her. She just came up to me and said I follow Christians and eat pork at Hotela Federalawi, and ran away. I said I'm sorry. I am sorry, okay?" Tears came into her eyes. "And I won't talk to you again either," Salam shouted at you. "And I won't even hug you." "Oh, no, Salam," Daddy said, coming in between the two of you. "She's kidding. She'll talk with you. She'll sit with you." He turned to you. "Sweetheart, don't be mean to Best Friend." Other people stared at you, and children celebrating someone's birthday under a canopy giggled. Salam heaved with sobs. Daddy loosened his tie and held her and dabbed her tears with a handkerchief. Your waitress, a lady with a silver nose ring, came over and taunted you, saying that such sweet sisters should not be quarreling and embarrassing their dad in public, after church. Daddy said to you, "You must make up with Salam, or we go home now. Tolo." "Okay, Salam, I'm sorry," you said. "I'll speak to you. Best friends. Hugsy Hugsy?" She nodded. "Okay, best friends. Hugsy." You hugged. The waitress clapped and cheered and pushed your chairs back together. "Well, my Salam, I want to say this before we continue eating," Daddy said apologetically. "You're always free to eat what you're comfortable with, ah?" "Yes. Already my daddy said I could eat pork if I wanted." "Did he?" asked, sounding relieved. "Yes. Because this evening I was going to ask your dad to talk to you. I'm going with him to Cinema Bahamiya to watch Premiership football." I was just trying to tell best friend what Hadiya said. "That's why I like your dad," he said, and rubbed her head. "Open-minded. Nice man." You sat down and began to eat, sipping fresh pomegranate juice with long red and white straws. You talked about the games you would play together when you got home, and how much you looked forward to school the next day. Then one day, after you and your family and best friend's family had gone to watch the Jima bicycle race in the next town, you didn't wake up in your bed, but in Mommy and Daddy's bed. The flat was full of a burning smell. The streets were almost empty. Daddy said there was no school that day. All morning your parents didn't leave your side. Their bedroom didn't have windows that faced Salam's flat. They sat with you and watched cartoons and later told you about their childhood and Yeli Joke Gije TV show that they watched long ago in Addis Ababa. Daddy, acting the part of a Baba Tesfaye, told you many stories. Mommy played Tirufit, assisting and fleshing out the stories. Mommy allowed you to spend a lot of time in the bath and brought your clothes to their room. Daddy made you read all your books aloud for him and recited church prayers. They didn't hurry to go to work. They didn't hurry to go anywhere. The house help didn't show up. You yawned and jumped out of bed. "I'm going to see best friend." "Come and sit down for a minute," Mommy said, patting the space on the bed between her and Daddy. You went and sat down. She looked at Daddy, who was looking at the wall. He cleared his throat and said, "Honey, we don't want you to play with that girl anymore." "What girl?" "That Muslim girl," Mommy said, moving her huge body close to you. "Best friend?" Silence. You looked at Mommy, then Daddy. They couldn't be serious, you thought, and waited for them to say it was a joke. "No big deal," Daddy said, shrugging. "There were riots last night. Houses were burned in our neighborhood." "Salam's flat?" "No," he said. "Could I go and talk with her?" "We say I," Mommy said, looking you straight in the face. "No? I just want to hug her. Please?" "We understand how you feel," Daddy said. "We really do. At 6, you're a bit too young to understand these things." "Listen up, sweetie," she said. "You're our only child. Our only child." "But I really miss her." "Do you know her parents have also told her to keep away from you?" she said. "They did? Amaye Salam? Abaye Salam said that? Who will play with me?" "We'll play with you," Mommy said. Daddy rubbed your back and translated what Mommy said. "Kanchi gara machawet iwadalehu." "Who will play with Salam?" "Hadiya," he said. "Hadiya?" "Her brothers, then," he said. "You don't worry about that." "But I don't want Hadiya to play with her. I don't like her." You threw the remote control on the floor and ran to your room before they could hold you back. You opened the big window's blinds and looked at Salam's house. A part of her building was burned, but not Salam's flat. The building was now red and black because of the fire. Some of the burned flats looked like empty black shells, the rock-hewn blocks as solid as ever. With the blinds and windows gone, you saw inner walls and parts of singed furniture.